In this video today, I'm going to bring you guys another full-length haircut tutorial, and in this case I had my guy Anthony come in. He gets a number 8 all the way around, and he gets a nice sharp mid-taper on the side of his head, and I'm going to show you guys a technique that I use. I was able to get this haircut done in 18 minutes and 13 seconds, and you'll be able to see that we had the timer that's going to follow along with the haircut all the way through. And you'll notice we're having conversation, we're vibing with the barbershop. It's not, you don't even really see my hands moving so fast to where my customer is going to feel rushed. So it's not about rushing your customer, about rushing the service, because you always want to give a quality service. That's how you keep your people coming back. But if you learn a solid system, you're over time naturally going to become more efficient. It took me years to get to this point where I was able to be more efficient. I had to try a bunch of different systems and non-stop trial and error, but I just want to show you what I've been able to learn so far. I definitely taper a little bit different than most barbers do, especially in the back of the head. I like for it to really complement the shape of my client's head. So we'll get into those details, but if you notice, I'm using the brand new Stylecraft Instinct X. So this is a new version of the Stylecraft Instinct clipper. I'm sure that we'll talk about it a lot through this video, but this is the newest release that they brought out to us, and it does use the same vector motor. So as you can see, it has absolutely no problem running through the thickest of bulk on my client's hair. Not every clipper is easiest to run through and do an even buzz cut like this, number 8. So it's pretty cool. The body is a little bit bigger. It uses the same smart motor that speeds up when it encounters bulk, but they put it in a body that's closer in style to a Stylecraft or Gamma Ergo, where it just fits in the hand a little bit better. A lot of people didn't like how the first Instinct, they felt like it was too small, or maybe it was too much vibration for the body. So they wanted to keep it lightweight. Obviously we can reduce vibration by going with a heavier metal body, but they've really been liking the lighter weight clippers lately. So a couple changes that they made with this one, but it's still a super solid clipper. And as you guys know, I love the Master Blade. Any chance I get, I put the Filthy mod on it and I'll use the Master Blade. So the codes are going to be here in the video if you guys want to cop yourself one of these. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move on. We're going through this head right here with the number 8, and as soon as we're done evening it out, making sure all of the hairs are cut, we're going to jump into the taper. So if you haven't seen my channel before, I like to start off tapers and fades, anything that finishes off skin tight. I like to start with the clipper all the way closed. I like to start off closed because it's going to leave a softer line that's easier to fade out towards the end. I also really dislike tapers that are shaped like a rainbow. I like for the tapers, I start off my bald line kind of in a U shape. A lot of OG barbers like to work like that. I was taught that myself from an OG barber from 6 Element Barbershop, the manager there, John. So definitely I like to start off with that clipper closed. So we'll just make sure that we get a nice tight finish there at the bottom. And don't worry, eventually we will go trimmer and shaver tight, but I'm not going to do that till the very end. Like I said, if I punch that line in too hard right now, it's going to give me too much work to do down the road. So now I'm going to be using the Zero Guard closed. I know the camera went out of focus here a little bit, guys, but I think you all really appreciate the real-time video. I didn't want to make any cuts or any edits in this. My next panel that I'll do is the Zero Guard closed. And again, the reason why I do the Zero Guard closed for my next panel is because it's going to be, again, a softer line that we can take out towards the end. So create a little bit of space like this, and just make sure that you give yourself at the very least a solid ½ inch, if not a full inch. You have to spread that blend. And for efficiency, obviously you could go in and use your 2, your 3, your 4 guard, but I like to use the number 1 to its maximum potential. So if I'll take that 1 and I do a little bit of freehanding, a little bit of sculpting for the hair, I can debulk and create my next panel that I could start fading into. And I close that number 1, and yeah, so I like to freehand and create the shape while the lever is open and close it. That way I can cut just a little bit tighter. And then of course you go back and forth with that lever play, so that way you can create your gradients. But I really feel like this is nice to control the gradients and the shape of the hair. So again, here I'm going with that number 1, and I'm just creating the shape. I'm trying not to do too much of an exaggerated C motion or a scoop out motion. I try to keep a straight up and down motion, rocking off the shape of the head, so that way we can make sure that it always complements the shape of my client's head. I'm not going to be forcing any unnatural shapes on his haircut. I think this is really important too when I'm doing tapers. I'll always debulk a little bit behind the ear. I really feel like it helps marry the two tapers, the side taper and the back taper. I feel like it helps them flow better together. They complement each other when the hair's tapered out just a little bit behind the ear too. It helps for a sharper lineup. So now that I've already cleared out my bulk and I worked with the gradients with that number 1 guard, now I can take the 0 guard. And we'll remember that the first panel that we made was with the 0 guard closed. So if I start with the 0 guard all the way open, and I little by little work my way down closed, eventually it's going to blend out perfectly. And all we have to worry about now is the bottom bald line. And you already know what you established that bald line with. That was the no guard closed. So the reason I take all these steps when I'm fading is I just try to keep a nice simple system that you can't get lost in. You know, use a minimal amount of guards, and just a little bit of freehanding motion. So it's helped me become more efficient in the barbershop, and it looks like the comments that you guys have left are showing me that it has helped you as well. So that's why I'm going to continue putting out this content. Like I said here, we are starting open and just little by little working our way down. And you'll see once in a while, I'll even though I already freehanded with the 1 guard, there's nothing stopping me from freehanding with the 0 guard too. Just whatever's gonna get me that finished result, that smooth, buttery finish. So as of right now, we're pretty much wrapping up with the guards. I'm done with the 0, I'm done with the 1 guard, and obviously the 8. So since I started this all the way closed, what I can do is I can open it up just 1 notch and break through that line that we started with. Open 1 more notch and break through a little bit more. 1 more notch and go a little bit higher into the blend. Obviously, the higher that you get into the blend, you're gonna wanna maybe start using a softer touch, probably tilt the clipper just a little bit and use the corner. If you notice too, a lot of times I'm always making sure that the clipper blade is moving against the grain. So you saw as I started to cut kind of sideways, the reason I was cutting towards the right is because his hair was growing towards the left. You always want to make sure that you're cutting against the grain with this straight hair texture. Just going to make sure that you ensure evenness throughout the blend, and it just contributes to that mirage of just a smooth transition from bald to light to dark. Leave me some feedback in the comment section below. Let me know if you've ever seen anybody in your barbershop, or if you yourself have ever tried doing a taper that's in the opposite shape that most of the barbers nowadays are doing. It's almost like a low fade, right? It's like the taper, it just contours the head a little bit better, but what makes it a taper, what keeps it a blowout style, is the fact that they still have a nice sharp line that's hooking over their ear. And of course we'll get into that real soon, in this tutorial, but let me know what you guys think about that. You can already see how they really complement each other better than if I would have done that rainbow shaped taper. I was actually telling somebody in the shop that they were asking about this method. Why did I start doing this? I had a client that he comes every week to get a number 4 all the way around on his head, and he gets a high taper, so he completely balled out the hook, and he gets the same thing in the back. But he was asking, why does it look so fuzzy in the back? He's looking at himself in the mirror, right, head on, but he can see the number 4. He could see that hair sticking out from behind his ear. So, and originally I was doing that rainbow shaped taper. So as soon as I started doing this, he felt like he looked so much cleaner, and I never turned back since then. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the lineup. If I'm not mistaken, with this lineup, what I pretty much do is, we start off with those sidebars to establish those, where the front lineup is gonna end. And yeah, we'll just start off with those corners, and we'll come back to the front edge. And I actually did struggle quite a bit with this. I did struggle quite a bit with this front edge, and in the past, it's something that I wouldn't have shown on YouTube, but I think it's important that you guys see that it is, we all struggle with evenness in the hairline. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. So I'll check back in with you guys once we start doing that front lineup, and kind of walk you through the thought process and how I fixed the errors that I was facing. So as this clock winds down, when it gets to 0, that's the point where I'm done cutting. I'm not going to be doing any more razor work, any more trimmer work. The haircut itself is done. So the point is to get the main part of the haircut done as efficiently as possible, so that way we have time to fit in a 30-minute appointment things like eyebrows, shave the face a little bit, color enhancement. We're able to do all of that within the 30-minute appointment, but the haircut is going to end at, well, of course, when the clock hits 0, just over 18 minutes. So 30-minute appointment, 18-minute haircut, that means that you have 12 minutes of dedicated time to perfect, color enhance, whatever you need to do to make your customer feel like the superstar that they are that day, right? So we'll get back to the cut. But yeah, just wanted to emphasize that efficiency frees up time for detailing. That's the key. Right here, you're going to be able to see that even though I curved my taper upwards towards the ear, you can see how this saber trimmer is just punching in that line super sharp, and it's still super defined. So this just goes to show you, you don't have to create a rainbow shaped taper to have a nice sharp defined line. And I think your customers are going to like how much longer these tapers last. This is pretty much the standard taper. You sit in my chair, this is how your neck is going to look like. So it's great results. My customers have loved it. Yeah, and it works with high tapers, mid tapers, low tapers. It's a good look. It's definitely a good look. I like to use my Gamma skin whenever it comes time to bald out the rest of the cut, before we move on to the front lineup. So, but as you can see, look, I'm gonna be flipping it upside down even, and with balding clippers and even trimmers, sometimes they're too sharp to do that. But something about the way that they designed this blade, that again, I mentioned it before, it reminds me of the original Wall 5-star balding blade. But it's definitely improved, because I remember that thing used to snag hair. But it's a good machine. I like to use that just so I don't have to put so much weight. I don't have to put so much work on my trimmers. I want to keep my liners sharp for their intended purpose, which is lining. If I dull them out because I'm clearing bulk with them, well, that defeats the purpose of it being such a sharp trimmer. So that's why I like having a balding machine, especially if you don't want to invest in a detachable. So the method that I think is best to do your lineups is, obviously we've already established those sidebars. I know what the border is going to be on the sides, but first you have to establish, obviously, where does the hair grow from and where are the bangs, right? There's a difference in pushing them back and cutting off the bangs. So that's what we're going to be doing in this case. I'm going to be taking off his bangs. I start in the middle, and I'm going to try to work my way as far left as I can, right up to that corner where we did the sidebar. So this is what I like to do. Start in the middle and work your way towards the left. Keep the line as straight as possible, and make sure that you use the edge of the trimmer blade itself. You could use that line to follow and just make sure that you're keeping it as straight as you can. It can be challenging putting a straight line on a round object. So, this is something that you're going to definitely want to take your time on. But let's go ahead and watch the rest of the process here. So as I'm about halfway through the lineup, I noticed how at the very end it was starting to slant downwards just a little bit. So I'm like, okay, I need to make an adjustment there. Let me go ahead and use the edge, use the straightness of the trimmer blade to follow the line where I saw that it was straight, and I can make that correction. So again, this is real time. I just wanted to show you guys the struggle that I went through to get his line up straight. So now I went to the other side of his head, and I'm going to try to pick up where I left off there in the middle to be able to straighten it out again, you following the straight edge of the trimmer, and just keep on going at it, keep on tapping at those loose hairs. Now the tools that we use are multifaceted. I felt like some of those hairs, I just felt like there was a lot of bulk hanging over the edge. So I decided I was gonna go ahead and pull out my clipper. There's absolutely no rule in the book that says we can't do this. I'll use it to clear a couple of the flyaways. I decided if I were to kind of glide it right along the edge that it would clear a little bit of bulk, so it was easier for me to work with. And like I said, all the tools that we use are so multifaceted. You don't have to use just one tool for one purpose. This is just to clear a little bit of the loose hairs, sculpting away those scragglers, and yeah, just to make the job easier. So if you don't already have a J brush, is what they call it, this is probably one of the most useful enhancement tools that I have when using Kiss Express to add a little bit of enhancement. I'll put just a tiny dollop of black, and I'll put a tiny dollop of darkest brown. And I feel like that color combination is always just a perfect blend for a nice natural finish. You never want to go too dark, and you never want to go too brown to where it looks like it's orange on their skin, right? So I like to find just that nice balance in the middle. And yeah, and honestly, like the shape of the J brush gives me exactly what I need, so that way I can be precise when I'm laying the color on the edge, but it also helps me blend it all back. So I don't have to use multiple tools when enhancing. I will use the air compressor to kind of make sure that I blow away all of the bangs, so that way nothing is hanging over and is going to disrupt my coloring process. And again, using this J brush, it's going to allow me to precisely paint right along the edge that we did with the trimmer. And then, as you can see there, I'm blending back a little bit. I think I have the little barber brush in my hand, just in case if I need for extra blending. I don't recall yet if I used that or not, but you know, as you can see, most of the job is getting done here with this J brush. It's made by Kiss Express, so they were definitely onto something with this. When I do paint the enhancement directly on the skin, I feel like as long as your customer skin can handle it, this is the longest lasting enhancement. Obviously, the Tomb 45 no drip color is specifically designed to be a tint for the skin. And that one also can last multiple days, but so you'll find that over time, as you try different enhancement methods, different customers prefer different enhancement types. So you know, this is definitely something that I personally enjoy. I like using the Kiss Express in certain situations. I like using the airbrush in other situations. You know, so I just wanted to show you guys, and this is pretty much the finished product. Obviously, we're still gonna do more detailing. You saw earlier we were using the clipper, so that way we can get flyaways, and now that the enhancement is laid and everything is nice and dark on his hairline, it's gonna make those flyaways pop out even more. So now we can pull out the shears and be a little more precise with it. So we have another appearance from another brand new tool that Stylecraft just released, and this one is the Uno 2.0. They already came out with the original Uno, and actually I had never used the first version of it, but they did send me this one, and so definitely look out for the unboxing video and review video for this one too. It's definitely a really nice shaver. I've actually sold these to my customers so that way they can maintain their goatees, maintain their edges while they're at home, and in between haircuts. If they wait a week or two to get a cut, something's gonna grow back. So, and it actually works out really well for balding out small areas, and so that way you're not creating too harsh of a line, for example, on tapers like this. So I think this is definitely something that has added to the ease of my job as a barber. You know, it's great for home use for customers, but honestly, when you're doing tight blends like this, where you don't want to, you know, the blend is already tight as it is, you don't want to go and create a whole new line. And that I've thought that the Uno shaver has been perfect for that too. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the finished product, guys. And as you can see here, I'm gonna go ahead and actually capture the image on my phone, so that way I could show my client what they look like in a 360-degree video. So here, you know, I'll show you guys here. Also wanted to make sure I captured his front edge so he could see exactly how he looks from all angles. And turn him around. I'm gonna let him watch the video so he could see it all the way around. Obviously, the more traditional way of doing this is just handing them the mirror, but the way that they have to contour their head and bend it up and down and left and right just so they can see every angle, you're better off just showing them a video of how the other people's perspective will be. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, leave me a comment, share the video, and if you're interested in getting the Stylecraft Instinct X or the Uno 2.0, any of the tools that we used in today's video, really, you can use my discount code TitoCuts at www.stylecraftus.com.